Hello and welcome. I'm José from Codurance, and today we're going to be talking about something that is essential for any development team: productivity. Now, we're not just going to talk about anything related to productivity, but we're going to focus on the subtle signals that tell you that your team may be having issues with productivity. But before that, what do we mean by productivity? Productivity in the context of a development team isn't just about shipping out code and ticking off tasks. That is very important, but you also want to pay attention to the effectiveness and the efficiency with which those tasks are contributing to majorly two factors. One, the outcome, the quality of the output that is being generated, and two, the ability of the business to meet the business goal, right? So how can you tell if your team is struggling with productivity? Well, that's what we're going to be discussing. We're going to talk about the top 5 signals that we see. We're going to talk about what may be causing them and, how to identify them if you're not just looking for them already, right? So let's dig in. For our first signal, we have frequent overruns on timelines and budget. Facing consistent delays and budget overruns is a clear sign that you have an issue with productivity. We're not talking about missing a deadline or two. We're talking about those situations when it is a systemic problem, like it usually happens. And you'll notice this because, of course, you're missing deadlines and budgets are being overrun. But beyond that, you can see it in constant conversations around descoping, moving deadlines around. And in general, there's a feeling of disbelief on being able to accomplish what the team is set to do, right? Now, this is usually due to over-optimistic estimates and timelines. And it comes from a disconnect between what the team says it's able to accomplish and the actual capacity that they have in order to do it. Some usual examples would be that are creating this disconnect would be, for instance, project requirements not being very well defined, expectations management, capacity issues, and so on. For a second element, we have high bug rates after releases. When you get a new release and then that leads to a spike in bug report and this kind of thing, it's a clear indicator that something is amiss in the development and testing phases. This situation affects the immediate project timeline because you have to then go and redo a lot of the stuff, but it also affects the morale of the team and the stakeholders' actual belief in what the team can accomplish. These increase in defects post-release is usually quantifiable, right? You have some metrics like bug reports, customer support calls, etc. But beyond the data, usually the team feels apprehensive about the stability of a release, right? Reflecting probably a deeper concern about the QA process. For instance, it is very common for teams not to release on Fridays because they are afraid for what could happen, right? Out of all the factors that can contribute to this high bug rates, usually you can pinpoint some sort of rust in the development cycles that kind of compromise thorough testing, not doing, let's say, things the way that it's required, from a coding standard perspective. Of course, this requires you to have a higher need for communication standard on quality benchmarks and alignment in general about what needs to actually happen in order to have a good release or a release that has fewer defects. Another factor is low morale and engagement. A drop in team morale and engagement is not just about having a bad day. When it's something that is persistent, it is an issue because it can significantly impact productivity and job satisfaction overall. This decline in engagement can lead to a higher turnover, it can decrease productivity, it can even affect the team cohesion, right? While you may notice this through formal indicators like engagement surveys, increased absenteeism, and rising turnover rates, informally it may manifest in a more subtle way. Things like less participation in meetings, reduced collaboration, and in general a decrease in the energy and enthusiasm from the team. The reason behind low morale can vary widely, but it often includes things like unclear career path progressions, lack of recognition, overwhelming workloads, and in general a disconnect between the team's effort and the company's goal. Addressing these issues requires a thoughtful approach to leadership, with an emphasis on communication, support, and alignment of team values and objectives. Inefficient development practice. When the development process lags behind industry standards or requires a significant rework, it's a clear indicator of inefficiency. These inefficiencies only slow down the progress, waste valuable resources, and they even demoralize the team. Objective measures such as increasing work in progress, lengthy lead times, and the volume of rework required can signal that this is happening. But subjectively, the team might feel like progress is sluggish. They're constantly having to redo or rework on things that they thought were finished. And this effort could even be duplicated, because it sucks when you can't really make progress. So several factors contribute to this. Among them, there are things like outdated use of methodologies like waterfall, lack of automation, inadequate tools, or even there could be skill gaps regarding knowledge or practices. These inefficiencies often stem from misalignment between the team's methods and the dynamics and needs of the project or industry. And they kind of highlight the necessity for continuous learning approach and an adaptation in order to get to that high performance. Misalignment between the product and the development team is a frequent disconnect that we find, and it definitely affects productivity. This misalignment between the product being developed and the market needs or the stakeholder expectation can result in wasted resources, missed opportunities, a lack of user engagement or satisfaction from the team with the final product. Few things are worse than building a product that nobody wants. So how can we detect it? Well, this misalignment can be revealed through feedback, in particular customer reviews, stakeholder feedback, product usage metrics, things like this that indicate a low adoption or satisfaction rates. Subjectively, the development team may express frustration or disappointment during the product reviews. There might be a general sense of being out of touch or out of sync with product goals and user needs. Poor communication between the development team, product management, and stakeholders is often at the heart of this issue. A lack of a shared vision or understanding of the market and the customer needs can exacerbate the problem as well, indicating a need for more inclusive and comprehensive planning processes. Ignoring these signs can lead to a downward spiral affecting not just project timelines and quality, but the team morale and overall organizational health. So recognizing and addressing these signals early can make a big difference and help transform challenges into opportunities for growth and improvement. From our experience, the ultimate solution lies in building a culture of open communication, continuous improvement, and mutual respect. It's about creating an environment where productivity thrives not just through metrics and deadlines, but through engagement, collaboration, and a shared sense of purpose. Thank you for joining me today. Let's take these insights and turn them into actions so we can create better and more engaged teams.